Hi, I'm Anna Bauer. I'm 38 years old and I study painting in the MFA department of NCAD. I moved here in September 2014 from New York, where I had a very successful career as a photographer in fashion and portraiture.
I'm David Balfe. I'm 23. I'm from North Dublin. I'm currently in the accelerated MFA program, and I completed a 4-year bachelor's degree in fine print here in NCAD.
All the MFA departments are together in that building. I think it's about 33 artists working there, more or less. So on February 17th, students were called into a meeting with Philip Napier, and he told them that on February 27th they had to vacate that building, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So there was a great deal of confusion. On February 18th, I think there was a meeting with Declan McGonigal.
It was the entire MFA student body, or thereabouts, and we were addressing our concerns about the lack of studio space we would be met with the following week. We were already previously concerned about major problems with Emma House that we tried to address with the management throughout the course of the year previous. For instance, we started in Emma House, which is an old HSC building on Thomas Street, in September, but we didn't have heating in the building until December 3rd. So we were working in artist spaces where you could see your breath in front of you, and that's really not acceptable at master's level when you have to pay the fees that we have had to pay.
Yeah.
Beyond that, we had no Wi-Fi connection. To add kind of insult to that, there's a master's course in this called Art in the Digital World, but no Wi-Fi, no internet connection. Even now, we don't have a sufficient Wi-Fi connection in Emmett House.
Yeah, so there was a lot of frustration to begin with in that building, but also a lot of patience from people, and we made things work.
We were initially very apprehensive about our studio spaces for the rest of the year. There was an idea juggled by management that we may at some point move to another space known as Diageo, and this would happen in maybe January or February.
Yeah.
We had known about the storied history of Diageo and NCAD and how many times proposed moves had failed in the past. So we wanted to know that there was a secure space for master's students regardless. We were told that no matter what happens with Diageo, we will have Emmett House until June. But of course then it transpired in our meeting that we found out that wasn't the case at all. We'd been lied to. The college had only actually secured Emmett House on a month-to-month license, meaning that we could be evicted at any point. It was actually 10 days grace we were given instead of an immediate eviction.
I never got a reply to that. In the meeting with Declan McGonigal on February 18th, Frawley's, the former department store across the street from NCAD, was proposed as a studio space solution, and people were very relieved, I think, about having a space proposed to them. So it seemed like a good solution in the moment, I think, because people were scared.
Yeah, I think everybody was. People hadn't seen what Frawley's was like on the inside.
Yeah.
But a lot of people were familiar with Frawley's.
Yeah.
People who'd grown up in Dublin knew what Frawley's was, and they had high hopes for a venue like that as a space for master's studios. But there was still a level of apprehension, and I think that was warranted, as we found out.
And then a couple of us went in there before. They wanted to show us Frawley's on the 25th of February, 2 days before moving out of Emmett House, and wanted to do changes to it. But we went in there before just because we were curious, what is the space like? And it was a bit shocking because there was a hole in the ground, and I do have to give it to them, that was before they renovated it, but it didn't look like a place you could renovate within a week, to have adequate studio spaces, to have heat, to have internet. So over the weekend, we wrote up an MFA statement.
Art school should be a safe space for students to make art, struggle with their art and grow through that. When the institution can't provide an environment to do that, students are unable to study and explore and to represent the college in its present or future in any positive way. We are not house squatters in the 1970s. We are paying MFA students in the so-called best art college of Ireland, an institution that we believed to have an excellent reputation, but has recently received a lot of bad press. According to the Public Accounts Committee and the HEA, NCAD was not able to provide their accounts for several years. The public wants to know where millions are being spent, and so do we. They are clearly not being spent on our facilities. We are extremely tired of the mechanisms of NCAD and the constant problem solving and firefighting we've been engaged with from the start. We've been frustrated throughout the year, but we've shown a lot of patience and understanding. We've still tried to make the art college look good, but we are put in a vulnerable position, and the danger is that we will accept a space that is neither safe nor adequate in this moment of insecurity and actual need of space. This is just not good enough.
So we found the landlord's email address, and on February 24th, I emailed the landlord. Dear landlord of Emmett House, pleasure to meet you via email. I'm one of the MFA students at Emmett House. We heard last week that NCAD wasn't able to secure a lease through June, so we wanted to get in touch with you directly. We absolutely love Emmett House. I was in tears last Friday upon the thought of losing my studio. It's been a great home for us, created a great community. People have been in shock. The students would just love to hear your side of the story. It would be great to have a heart-to-heart. I heard you did great things for artists in the past and wasn't surprised. NCAD hasn't been very transparent to us about this. There's an Irish Times article about me somewhere, so just so you have some info on me. All my best, Anna. I had a little thing in the Irish Times. So 1.5 hours later, I get an email back, and all of this is on February 24th, 3 days before basically moving out. Anna, I'm so happy to have received your kind email. You're an inspiration to us all, and I would love to talk with you. My mobile is yada yada yada, to explain my side. So the really difficult landlord, his first response was very, very positive.
Well, on the morning of February 26th, we visited Frawley's, which was, suggested as the new space for MFA students to have their studios. We went there with Declan McGonigal, who's the director of NCAD, Damien Downs, who's the registrar, and Philip Napier, who's head of fine art.
Yeah.
Along with those, we had a lot of academic staff there to support the students and the student side of this situation.
So everybody took a look at the building. And then questions rose like, did you install heat? We will look into this today. We will look into the boiler today. There were no partitions as of yet. There was definitely no internet installed. So the group became a little frustrated again.
Very frustrated.
Very frustrated. And then since I had been in touch with the landlord, I knew he had emailed them again, Damien again, that morning. So after everybody expressed their doubts about this building being in a studio state, in an adequate working environment, after frustration was expressed, I just threw in the round, I know that the landlord emailed Damien this morning, and I didn't think anything would come of it. But then students asked Damien to read out that email, and Damien read out that email, and that email was just a 3-liner saying that he was willing to renegotiate at a reasonable rate for the next 3 or 4 months. And Declan said, he wants long-term again. I said, no. Declan, Damien, can you please read out this email again? And it clearly said 3 or 4 months. So students asked Damien to email him back right then and there, which he did. And then Damien walked off into a corner, made a phone call, came back and said he signed a new lease, or agreed on a new lease till the end of June. So it was done right there, which was absolutely bizarre. It was like a weird reality show. Would have been very entertaining had it been a show, but it wasn't a show. It was us trying to figure out things and finding solutions. And it worked.
What secured it for us was students managed to time and time again point out the mismanagement that was rampant in NCAD's management. From Damien Downs and Declan McGonigal, students time and time again presented the flaws in their arguments and the flaws in the way they were doing their job. It was through doing that students essentially did their job for them and secured a lease on a building that they'd, as far as we were concerned, desperately been trying to secure for much, much longer than 10 days.
I don't enjoy fighting. I like finding solutions. I like getting things done. And it was out of that we did this. This wasn't to show off how poorly somebody managed this. It was literally trying to make it happen and to find a safe space for us to work. That's what it was. It was not to say, boo, you did this or you did that. I sincerely want to promote NCAD in a positive way. It would be great for more international students like myself to study here, but there needs to be presentable things to do that. And it's been a bit tricky.
Yeah, I think ultimately what needs to be recognised is what gives NCAD the strong reputation it has is the strength of its students and its academic staff.
Yeah.
And at no point should you allow the reputation that you helped build be destroyed by mismanagement.
Yeah. No, what I said in that letter to Philip, I want to be proud of NCAD. I really want to be proud of NCAD. And I want them to be proud of their students. That should be your core thing, should be behind the students. Make this happen with whatever it takes. I mean, making art is difficult enough, so just make it happen.